Guys, it's time to check the tape. Safety Andrew Mukuba for the Clemson Tigers. I went over the film. What are my thoughts and my reactions to it? I'll discuss all that next on the Locked On Clemson podcast.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Clemson family? Let's get locked in. Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast, your daily podcast covering your Clemson Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout with the Draft Network, as well as part of the co-host team of the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. And guys, I have two new segments for y'all today, man. First of all, appreciate y'all and thank y'all so much. I love y'all for all the support you've been giving me since I've taken over and started this podcast. But as always, guys, I thank y'all so much for making Locked On Clemson Tigers your first listen today and every day. Not only are y'all my Clemson family, the Clemson Nation, you're my everydayers, and I hope that y'all really take that serious, and I appreciate y'all for that. But again, we have a fun show. We have a show that, like I said, I'm thinking about different content to bring to you guys, and things that something that really popped out to me. I came up with two new segments I think that will really catch your eye. You guys will really appreciate. You feel me? So we're gonna check the tape. Safety Andrew Mukuba for the Clemson Tigers. What does the tape say from 2022? How big of a departure was Brent Venables to Mukuba's success and or failures during that season? The NFL Tiger Report. We're going to look at the NFL right now and see and I have a few former Clemson Tigers that give updates on from OTAs and minicamps. And then a 2025 four-star cornerback receives an offer from the Clemson Tigers on the Prowl. But let's get into it, guys. So let's check the tape for Andrew Mukuba. Really talented safety, arguably safety one for a lot of people. In terms of heading into the NFL draft, if he decides to come out this season, because he wouldn't be a senior until 2025, so he doesn't have to come out, in 2020 for the 2024 class. He can stay in college another year, but I think that will be solely dependent on how he evaluates his own performance. And I'll give you some context into why, when I talked about Brent Venables, the loss of Brent Venables, we saw, if you really knew and remember what Trenton Simpson looked like in 2021 with Brent Venables, he looked a little different. Still went at second round, I think. Second, third round of the 2023 NFL draft, but he was still a day two pick. But coming out of the summer, for how Brent Venables had been using him, everybody viewed him as a first round lock, and that just didn't, it didn't happen that way. Things changed, and you kind of you see what took place, and it was like, man, with Wes Goodwin taking over, when Brent Venables was leaving for the University of Oklahoma. So for Mukuba, Brent Venables, one thing about Mukuba, like, he's versatile, alignment fluid, right? And it's been the same way no matter who has been the defensive coordinator, right? So that's just been the case. He plays in the box, he plays free safety, he plays in the slot, and he'll line up sometimes out wide at corner. Excuse me. And so when you really think about what you have in a guy is a Swiss Army knife, and when he, the numbers, right, when he was with when Brent Venables was there, even the PFF grades, excuse me, the PFF grades aren't everything, but he was mostly in the green. He had some blues, and those are all good numbers, in just terms of, like, tackling was in the 80s, almost 90s. His run defense was 80, 74 in coverage, 62 in pass rush, 77 for his defensive grade overall. And that was with Brent Venables, right? And he had 34 tackles, only 3 missed tackles. But in coverage is where you saw a difference between the two seasons. These numbers are a little staggering, right? So in 2021, 22 receptions allowed off of 35 targets for 63% completion, 255 yards, only 90 yards after the catch. The longest pass he gave up that year was 35 yards and 1 touchdown. He had 6 PBUs, 6 pass breakups, right? All right. Now you jump to, he also had a sack and a pressure in that year. You jump to this year, this past year, 2022. No sacks, no pressures, no QB hits, 47 tackles. He did miss a few more. He had 7 missed tackles total. His run stops went up to 13 from 7. But here's where it changes in coverage. Allowed 35 receptions on 44 targets for almost 80% completion, almost 600 yards and 17 yards per catch, 195 yards after the catch. His longest reception allowed was 72 yards. He had 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, only 2 PBUs. And it's just a simple fact of the matter is when I watched the tape, I saw a guy that the defense, in my opinion, did not put him, in terms of the coaching, did not put him in the most advantageous situation. What is he good at? He's physical. Like I say, he's versatile, fearless, a secure tackler. I love his ability when you go back to 2021, being a +1 in the run game, a guy that you can walk down into the box and trust that he's going to make the right play. If he has to be a force defender off the edge, or excuse me, he has to be the alley defender, where it's him and the running back and one-on-one in the alley, and he has to make a tackle. He does that. He will deliver heavy shots, right, and heavy hits to running backs, tight ends, receivers, especially guys that don't really see him coming. He's flowing from backside pursuit. He will lower that shoulder and lower the boom. Now, again, like I said, his play dipped, especially in coverage. And, like I said, when they put him in a nickel, right, because he plays the nickel a lot. When they put him in the nickel, I think my biggest issue is that I use cornerbacks and stuff. We use this term, that you kind of look for. I look for when I'm watching DBs, and the term goes as, the term is, take something to run to, take away something to run to something. So, or to chase something. So, like, you take away outside leverage, right? So if Mukuba's playing 7 yards off and he's in the nickel in the slot and he's shaded outside, you know what he's doing? He's funneling guys to the inside, right? So that allows him to click and close and drive on routes. Well, there are times where he's in the nickel, but he's more shaded inside, or he's more squared up. And now that kind of essentially gives the receiver a two-way go, because when you're playing against off coverage, receivers are taught, hey, press, get close to the DB. Now it's like now you recreate the line of scrimmage where you re-release. So you don't release against when guys giving you 7 yards cushion. There's no need to do any toe tapping and dancing, none of that stuff. Just get vertical, step on his toes, get in his airways, his airspace. Now you give a release package, whether that's speed release outside, speed release inside, double tap, release inside, whatever, stutter step them, run them, whatever you want to do. You release you give a release package or a release move, and you recreate the line of scrimmage. And when you're squared up, you're giving them a two-way go. So I want to see them use them more to take away leverage initially before the snap, right? Take away something to chase something. Because again, if you take away inside, and if you know that, hey, I'm taking away inside, you got to be prepared for a foot race vertically. You got to be prepared for them to sell this vertical stem and break back out on the out route, or break out on a corner route. You know what I mean? Things of that nature, or a corner post where they sell the corner, and you got to be disciplined and not be in a rush to get to that spot and make a play, because they'll sell the corner, head, eyes turned, and they break back inside. So for him, man, he has a tendency of stopping his feet when guys are working towards him. And he just, to me, he seemed like he was thinking more than reacting. And typically when that happens, guys, it's not a good thing for the DB or for the defender, period. Ask any defensive coach, I don't want my guys thinking. You want them reacting, reading and reacting, because they're reading and reacting. They're playing football. When they're thinking, their feet stop. They're not moving. And if they are moving, it's at a very timid pace so that they are not defeated or beat, on that play, because they're trying to identify what is happening. So to me, it just seems like he was thinking more this year than he was in 2021. And that's for him and a couple other defenders, just because of the way that Brent Venables, just being the defensive maniac he is. But at the end of the day, like I said, this young man is still arguably the top safety on the board, for a lot of NFL teams right now. And scouts that I've talked to, they really still like him. They want to see his game go back to the 2021 version where he was more reliable, more consistent, and he just played his style of football and looked like Andrew Mukuba. But guys, let's check the tape. Now we got the NFL Tiger Report. I'm going to talk about Justyn Ross and Isaiah Simmons. What's the word about them coming out of OTAs and minicamps for their respective NFL teams? I'm going to get all into that next. Guys, finding pants and or shorts that fit well, they're comfortable, flexible, and versatile, it's not really easy. I can tell you from personal experience, but let me introduce you to Birddogs. Birddogs make me look good, so they're going to make you look good. What I really love is their khaki shorts stretch, and they're designed to fit slimmer and through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look, especially for my bros that likes to hit leg day in the gym. These shorts will make you really look good. And what I love about them as well is they fit way better than the shorts that are in my closet. They're not stiff and restricting in terms of the cotton material that they're made with. And when you think about what they're made with a cloud knit fabric that looks just like khakis, but they stretch and are way slimmer fit, and they won't sacrifice any movement. I love the fact that they have an anti-stink and sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. So guys, let me help you out here. And what I want to do here is I want to help you get a free tumbler. Right? I want to help you get a free tumbler. How are we going to do that? Go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege and enter the promo code lockedoncollege for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedoncollege for a free Yeti style tumbler. You will not want to take off your bird dogs, I promise you. The NFL Tiger Report, and we have our eyes on the league. Justyn Ross, Isaiah Simmons. What's going on with these former Tigers, man? We all know that prior to the injury a couple years ago, Justyn Ross was a projected and almost lock for a first-round receiver, and a guy that everyone knew was just a stud, an absolute baller. And the injuries, 100%, stepped into what he really could become. He went undrafted. Like he lost, especially that final year, at Clemson. He wasn't the same athlete. He wasn't the same caliber of guy. He wasn't the same physical, specimen that we were accustomed to, right? And being able to win vertically, stack guys with ease. Of course, he still had the frame and the short area quickness and, good cuts in terms of his routes and stuff like that, and still caught the ball well and still had the ball skills. But this is a guy that, if you remember that, I think it was his freshman year, he was out there dominating Alabama's defensive backs in the national championship game in that blowout win. And that was like chef's kiss. Wow. Like everyone knew, like, hey man, like he's next, right? He's the next line of great Clemson wide receivers. And, he was definitely headed down that path, but he got hurt. So, last year, going undrafted in the 2022 NFL draft and signing with the Kansas City Chiefs, being placed on IR early and everything, it was kind of, in my opinion, I think it might have been a blessing in disguise, right? Because now he knows that he's been on the team for a year. He knows Andy Reid's playbook. Andy Reid is a great offensive coach, but it takes a second. It takes a little bit for young rookie receivers to come in and pick up that playbook. His teammate Sky Moore, who was drafted like second round, people thought he was going to explode, on the scene because it really take off because Tyreek Hill was gone. Well, no, that didn't happen because it's a difficult offense to learn and everything else. So I think it was a blessing in disguise for Justyn. But when you look at what's happening right now at OTAs, like you're seeing the clips that have went viral of Mahomes just throwing the ball deep downfield to him. He stacked and won vertically versus the corner, and you saw a guy like that. He just looked like he might be back. Is he back? That's the question. Is he back? I'm not gonna say he's 100% back yet until I see it in pads and everything else. But he's impressed Mahomes. I can't find the quote, but I'm pretty sure there was a quote of. I remember reading the quote that Mahomes was impressed with him and he talked highly of him and everything like that. And when you think about the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs don't have a true number one wide receiver now, again, I'm tempering the expectations. I'm not saying You know, I'm not saying that he's going to be that, but I think the opportunity is there. And then listening to one of the coaches, Coach MB from the Kansas City Chiefs, he said that, you know, he's obviously in the NFL for a reason. And talking about Justyn Ross, he said he has a talent and has to go earn it just like anyone else in that receiving room. And from what I gather about Justyn Ross, that's not going to be a problem. He works hard. He's got a really strong character and a really strong work ethic. And I think this young man's going to go out there and do his thing and fight tooth and nail to prove not only does he belong on the roster, but I deserve and I belong in the rotation to get as much snaps as possible, you know, to help this team. And shout out to my guy PJ Green, who covers the team. He tweeted out that Justyn Ross, you know, towards the end of practice, you know, that he made a really nice high point catch, you know, around, you know, towards the end of practice on June 1st. So the things coming out of camp for him is positive. Now let's flip to a not so positive situation, and that's Isaiah Simmons. And it's not a doing of his own. It's because he went to the Arizona Cardinals. That's why. Going to the Arizona Cardinals was almost a kiss of death for his early career. Like, but the wild part about it is typically if you're with the Arizona Cardinals, you kind of have a second part of your career, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's like act two, like in theater. And the reason why I say this is because you look at the Arizona Cardinals, you know, under and you know, Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury in those years, they drafted defenders that, you know, they just didn't know what to do with. They had no idea. It was the same thing for Isaiah Simmons, man. Like they had no clue what to do with this young man. This is a young man that at Clemson played stack backer, edge rusher, outside linebacker, nickel corner, strong safety, free safety, outside corner. He played everywhere. He was a jack of all trades. Now, was he a master of none? Maybe, but there was opportunity. Typically, if a guy is a jack of all trades and a master of none, I'm concerned if he's not a good athlete. Isaiah Simmons is a tremendous athlete. So you think about, okay, yes, he may not be a jack of all, he's a jack of all trades and a master of none, but I feel like with his athletic profile, with his physical tools and makeup, you can put him into a role where he can develop and grow and become something. And it's there. It's absolutely there, guys, for that to happen. But that's not what they did. The Clemson, I mean, not the Clemson, but no, the Clemson Tiger defender was put at stack backer, moved to outside linebacker and edge rusher, nickel corner. And now, you know, all that's under, you know, Vance Joseph was the defensive coordinator. And I covered the Cardinals during this time, you know, for the past like two years up until the end of this past season. And I'm going to be honest with you, wasn't a big Vance Joseph fan personally, but the thing that was really telling to me was just the fact of the matter is that they had absolutely no idea what to do with Isaiah Simmons. And this is where me and Keith talked about this, my co-host on NFL Locked On NFL Draft podcast, and I wanted to bring this conversation to you guys and give you my thoughts. For me, when I look at how you should use Isaiah Simmons, you should use him like Kyle Hamilton from the Baltimore Ravens, who played at Notre Dame, a guy that, you know, was what first round pick, but everybody thought he was more athletic than he was because he was instinctive. He made a lot of plays, so forth and so on. So for me, that's how I look at it. I say, you know what? Let's go with being a rover, a low hole safety, box defender that can play drop off in zone, you know, kind of roam the field and you know, be a robber as well in terms of taking away quick hitting routes and getting in the passing lanes and everything like that. But then also you could put him up on the line of scrimmage and get him comfortable, right? Get him comfortable. Muscle memory is so important, guys. It's hard to go from in a 2-point stance as an edge rusher to you know, flat-footed as a stack backer to playing 12 yards back, right? You know, in a back pedal, you know, back pedal motion at safety to then trying to go up and play man-to-man coverage and press man at the line of scrimmage in in the nickel. So that's how I look at it. Use them like Kyle Hamilton, just Jamal Adams, those type of guys. Let them roam and be just disruptive and just creative with them. But the Arizona Cardinals really set them up incorrectly. But new head coach and defensive mind Jonathan Gannon, who was the DC for the Philadelphia Eagles, who went to the Super Bowl this past season. He basically, from what I've read and heard, that he has moved Isaiah Simmons to work with the safeties, and I think that's going to be a permanent move for this season. And I think that could be really good for him, especially if Budda Baker stays. I think he could be a nice pair with Budda Baker. So we'll see how it goes, guys. We definitely will see what happens and how it transpires. But that's just my take. Like I said, bringing you, just the NFL Tiger Report, man. The eyes on the league, seeing what's going on with our Clemson Tigers, and keeping that D-Hop watch. And whenever he lands with the team, I'll definitely come back and talk about that. But guys, what we're going to talk about. We're going to get on the prowl, continuing to look to dominate the recruiting cycle and angle and atmosphere. We're going to get into on the prowl and a 4-star cornerback for the 2025 class coming up next. On the prowl, ladies and gentlemen, we have a 4-star cornerback in the 2025 class that received his offer just this week after visiting Clemson. 4-star Maryland corner, came in and visited the Tigers. Blake Woodby, 5'11", 180. He's in the 2025 class. Yes, I know we're dominating the 2024, but you always have to keep your eyes on the prize and always think ahead and continue to build. At the end of the day, dynasties, you can build a dynasty, but it's all about keeping the dynasty built. And if you can do that, that's what matters the most. So that's the big thing, right? Is being able to do that. And with Blake Woodby, like I said, 5'11", 180, Baltimore, Maryland, St. Francis Academy High School. This is a young man that's really talented. ESPN, Rivals, and 24/7 Sports all have him as a 4-star. ESPN has him as the number 41 overall recruit, number 6 overall corner, and the top recruit coming out of Maryland in 2025. Rivals has him as the number 58 overall recruit, the number 6 overall corner, and the number 2 overall recruit coming out of Maryland. And 24/7 Sports, 68th overall, 9th overall corner in the nation, and the number 1 recruit coming out of the state of Maryland. So what does that tell me? That tells me that this kid can ball. And then I targeted on his sophomore tape because he's going into his junior year, and this is a dual threat type of kid. Now he plays both sides of the football, and I like what I saw from him. A quick feet, versatile athlete. Like I said, play both corner and wide receiver. But I think what I love to see anytime a player is on both sides of the ball, right? It's like saying, okay, and you'll see this in high school. A lot of quarterbacks end up playing safety. Well, then you have running backs that play linebacker, right? You have defensive tackles that play interior offensive line, right? You have tight ends that might play some linebacker or some safety. But regardless of what it is, I think my biggest thing is this: if you're playing the opposite position, right across the ball, you're playing both positions. If you're playing wide receiver and corner, you need to use what you know at both positions to win at both positions. And I see that with Woodby, man, him playing wide receiver, the route recognition, the eye discipline, be able to read route concepts and everything, make a break on the ball. He doesn't have to be physical. And I love guys like that. My personal preference, I like to play man-to-man coverage with my DBs. I want my DBs to be physical. I want them to play man-to-man coverage, but I want them to have a savvy veteran-esque feel to where, hey, I don't need to get my hands on this guy. I can play, catch technique. I can give him a little bit of cushion and give a quick jam and reset him after he within the 5-yard range after he releases upfield. Stuff like that. I don't have to get up on the line of scrimmage and beat him up. And you see that with this young man. He'll back off. He'll show press, and he'll kind of bail out, pre-snap before the ball is snapped to the quarterback. And then, of course, just really capping routes. And he does a good job of that, right? Guys want to release outside and the routes saying to go outside. and he understands like you're not the most advanced receiver because he plays receiver, and he does a good job of staying on top of the route, capping it, and creating pass, getting back pass breakups. Has a really good click and close to drive on the ball with playing from depth as well for those quick hitting and shorter routes that are kind of happening in front of his face. He does a good job of that, man. Tackles well. I was impressed when I saw this young man. I was impressed. I think he's a good receiver too. And then, like I said, not think he's a good receiver. He is a good receiver. They use him, especially with his kind of quickness and his play strength. They give him a lot of manufactured touches like quick screens, bubble screens, different things like that. He does a good job selling routes. And again, when you play receiver and then you go and play corner, use the same knowledge of playing receiver on how you should win at corner. And I see a young man that understands that concept. I'm just letting y'all know. So I'm excited for this young man. I think stars aren't everything, right? In the 4-star, 5-star, because there's a lot of politics that goes in that stuff too. But I do believe that he could be someone that could rise up to being a 5-star. I think the main thing for him is, especially he's already 5'11" as a sophomore. This kid could potentially get another growth spurt, guys. Get up to 6 foot, 6'1", maybe 6'2" by the time he's a senior. Right, he's going into his junior year. He may get that junior senior growth spurt before he hits college and makes his commitment and everything. And next thing you know, he's walking into college as a 6'1" corner at 185, 190 pounds, and he looks like an NFL player already, right? Even before hitting a college weight room. So I think there's a chance that he could potentially grow into a 5-star. We just got to keep eyes on him and see what's going on. But listen, guys, that's our show, man. On the Prowl would be listen to me, Blake Woodby, 4-star recruit out of the state of Maryland. And again, before I really transition to my outro, shout out to Clemson. What I love what they're doing is, in terms of recruiting, trying to win out of state is what. Yes, you are the top school in South Carolina. No disrespect to the Gamecocks. I got Gamecock fans in my family and in my friend circle. But at the same time, Clemson is the creme de la creme. You know what I mean? They have national titles, playoff wins, playoff appearances in the last 5 to 10 years, multiple times. So yes, they are the creme de la creme. Okay, that's what they are. So you know that you more than likely are going to win the in-state recruiting. But going out there and able to snatch Sammy Brown, snatch TJ Moore, snatch Bryant Westco, getting these 4- and 5-star recruits out of other states, that is big time. That is big time. And if Dabo Swinney and this staff continues to do that, guys, sky is the limit. You hear me? The sky is the limit. But guys, I appreciate y'all as always for tapping in with me, man. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, especially for Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go check it out, guys, to get the latest episode as soon as it's available. I thank y'all so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every day. Clemson Nation, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Y'all are my family, but you're my everydayers, and I can't do this without you. You heard? So listen. It's Happy Friday, man. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend and have a good time. Be safe out there. Tap back in with me on Monday. I'm gonna have more content. And like I said, check the tape. NFL Tiger Report. They're coming back. I'm gonna keep those as staples right now, especially during the kind of dog days of the summer before we really get to camp and football as well. So in terms of Twitter, you can find and follow me there at DP_NFL. Come and join the conversation again on Monday on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.